All right, you are most welcome once again, and this is Issues at Hand. Quite a number of things do happen in the nation, but do you know that they do happen? I was posing a question here before we came here. Do we have human trafficking in the country? Of course, the answer is yes. So this is what we're going to be discussing today. The unseen chains exposing human trafficking of Ugandans. It could be in very many forms. We shall also be able to look at the forms. But of course, here with me is Miss Julian Ongodia from the Salvation Army. You are most welcome to Church of Uganda Family TV.
Thank you so much, Luke, and thank you for having me.
All right. Now, first and foremost, before we kick it off, can we get a brief about the Salvation Army? What do you do? All those things.
Okay. Good morning, viewers. Once again, my name is Julian Ongodia, and I currently serve with the Salvation Army under the project. A project is the anti-human trafficking project here in Uganda. Currently, my area of work basically is to do awareness.
Okay.
We also support survivors of human trafficking. We ensure that we build community resilience, but also advocate for strong systems towards combating human trafficking.
Okay.
Yes, so you asked what Salvation Army does. Salvation Army is a faith-based organization that preaches the gospel. But they do not just stop at preaching the gospel and saving souls. They also serve communities. They serve the marginalized. If you can do enough research, you realize that the Salvation Army is actually in areas where most organizations are not. They are so deep and remote. So it's a church, but also an NGO that has community-based projects. And one of the projects is this anti-human trafficking project.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow, it's a pleasure. So also, what is human trafficking for someone who does not understand such?
So in layman's language, I can explain what human trafficking is in three elements. For human trafficking to happen, there must be three elements. The first one is the act. The second is the means, and the third is the exploitation, the purpose. So in the act, there must be a series of activities that have happened for it to qualify to be human trafficking. The first is recruitment. There has to be a recruitment, a transfer from one place to another, then a receipt. Someone must receive the victim, in this case, and harbor them. And then in the means, there must have been a way in which this person was recruited. So were they coerced? Was there some form of deceit? Was there some form of coercion? Or was there enticing, like gifts, especially now when it comes to child trafficking? There is always this, these small gifts that they give them, and they tell them, we are taking you, you're going to get this job, you support your family, and so forth. Then the exploitation is the actually end result. The purpose is basically exploitation, and in most cases it is sexual exploitation, forced labor. We have seen organ trafficking, we have seen child sacrifice, witchcraft, and so forth and so on. So for human trafficking to be qualified as human trafficking, those three elements must surface.
Okay.
Yes.
How is it manifesting in Uganda? I want to understand how Ugandans are being trafficked, or Ugandans are practicing human trafficking.
That's a very good question. Ugandans are practicing, but they are also falling prey of this vice. It manifests in many ways. Like I said, there are means. You are coerced. Most people are groomed, You're groomed. You'll find that there are, for example, organizations that are doing it. This morning I was just listening to one of the government officials during COVID. There was a press release about these companies that sell hampers, if you like. They use children or girls or people who are vulnerable and they are looking for jobs to sell on the road. And this particular group, because the government mentioned it, I'll mention it. It's called Alliance Global something. So they were recruiting. They would tell the now the victim in this case that they are going to earn 300,000. But for you to earn the 300, you had to pay 700,000 to get the job. So when you get here in Kampala, they give you a hamper and they will tell you that you will only earn on commission. Yes. Sure. But also you will also earn when you recruit others. You get. So there are such kind of companies that come. It has manifested in many ways. We have seen fake jobs being advertised. Social media has been the hub of trafficking, because we see that right from COVID time, the traffickers changed, mutated, if you like. They changed their tactics on how to recruit. Because remember, now there was a lockdown, there was no physical, so they had to go online. We have seen our young girls lured because, they want to have dates, and things like that. But also, most of the victims come from a vulnerable background. They come from maybe a disoriented family. Most of them are even single mothers. They want to ensure that their families survive. We have seen children from Karamoja coming to the streets. They have been recruited, transported, and now they have been told that they should come to work, that they are coming to work, only to find themselves on the streets. And they are begging. So street begging is one of those forms of human trafficking. Okay. Yes.
What is the most vulnerable, can I say, who is most vulnerable in this regard?
First and foremost, children are most vulnerable.
Children.
Yes, because they are easily convinced. And that's why we have the majority of victims that are being trafficked are children. And most of them are taken into child forced labor. If you see most of our farms, agricultural farms, if you did your numbers there, you'll find most of them are children. Why? Because they are cheap. It's cheap labor. But also another category that is that has a high number are women or girls. Women, most of them are actually single parents. Those that probably are even running away from their marriages, those that are basically single parents and they are not well educated, so they want to look for greener pastures. Someone has told you they are going to earn 1 million in the Arab countries. You think that's a lot. It is worth much more. That even when they have had stories of these people who have returned and they have excuse me, and they have told them that the experience is not nice, they will tell them, that's your story, let me go on. Maybe my story will be different. So we've seen, but we've also seen girls, especially into child marriage, early child marriages, even boys. This particular company, I'm telling you, they were recruiting specifically boys. Yes. So everyone is actually a potential victim of trafficking. Okay. Yes.
I didn't want to term the solutions as of now, but for these ones who are so eager to work abroad, what interventions have been made, surely?
Okay, first and foremost, we must appreciate or allow that Uganda is still a source, a transit and a destination. And in as much as there are efforts that are being made. However, we haven't yet met the minimum standards. Then we also have to accept that poverty is the driving force. The unemployment levels are so high, and especially for those, even those with degrees are still on the streets. And then how about those that do not even have any qualifications at all? You'll find most of them. It will interest you that the highest form of trafficking is actually internal. It is not cross-border. The highest is internal. If you look at our statistics, that there is too much domestic servitude, street begging. So there is a lot that is happening internally than actually externally. So poverty is basically the driving force, unemployment, and so of course these are issues that must be addressed, and that's why by the government, and that's why in our efforts we try to sensitize communities and ask them, what are those initiatives that you think you can come up with that can prevent you from being trafficked or re-trafficking. And they have most of the communities that we have worked with, they have come up with interesting preventive initiatives like VSLA, for example, and then we encourage them to tap into the government efforts like the PDM, like the YLP, and it is to the advantage when they are actually in groups. It is easy for them to access these things, but most of them may not know. So it is one of the things that we do to create the awareness and tell them, no, there are these initiatives that a government has put in place that you can actually benefit from. Yes.
I know there are a number of tricks used, and you had listed some of them, come I give you a job and other things. But could you list down at least some of the tricks and tactics used by these traffickers to lure people into their hands?
Maybe I can give you real examples. Maybe for the girls or for the women, they are told that they are going to go outside countries. We will call it outside countries. Maybe in the Arab countries, maybe even the Asian countries, most especially India. They will tell them that they are going to earn money. You're going to work in, say, a restaurant, or you work in a supermarket. If they are girls, if they are men, they will tell them they are going to work in as security guards. So when they get there, the story is totally different. Totally different. Actually, they call them madams. It's interesting that the traffickers actually women. So these women, these traffickers, the first thing they do is they confiscate their documents. And now you're left in a state where, if you are living in in an uncomfortable situation, you cannot decide to return. Secondly, they lure them to get into a debt. They tell them, no, you can have this kind of money, then you can pay slowly. Now, the money, they have not been told that it actually accrues maybe even interest. So you are working, but the debt is not ending. So they are locked up in that situation where the debt keeps accumulating. Maybe that day you have not even earned, because probably you have to pay on a daily. So they are kept there, and now the trafficker will even threaten the families. They will say, if you try to escape, I know where your family is, and something will happen. Now, because they want to protect their families, even their children back home, they would rather they suffer in the hope that they are able to pay. So they find themselves in a state, they may even they'll find themselves even on the streets. doing sexual work, sexual exploitation, and that's where they're exploited, and of course which comes with a lot of things like diseases, like things like that. So they are locked up in there until when they cannot do anything anymore. If we are talking about domestic servitude, they are told, no, you will get into a particular house and you will, do the work. It's an 8-hour job. They reach there, finding sleep is just a miracle. Then you'll work, your fingers will even start bleeding, but they will not care. They may deprive you of food. You will work hungry. A particular story of a particular survivor that we repatriated, she worked in a 4-storied house. These Arabs, they live extendedly, they're extended families. It was a 4-storied house. She had to clean it on a daily. Every day you clean, you wash dishes. What she would not do was cook, but she needed to wash dishes. And if they would find any corner dirty, you are first beaten, and then you're subjected. Now that day you will not eat. Now where do you have the strength to clean 4 floors on a daily on an empty stomach? Yes. So there are a lot of things that lead these people. They are forced to go there, but then they are also lured. One other thing is, most of the people who have gone with these companies, some of the companies have been blacklisted by the government, by the Ministry of Gender and Labor. But because this person, this girl, this individual is not probably even able to read the document before them, they are just forced to sign. No, you sign these things, everything is okay, and then you sign what you don't know. Now when you get there and you start complaining, they will tell you, but you signed a document. You see, they could not read, they could not write, and now when they get there, the company is like, no, you're now in the hands of your employer. We have nothing to do with it. So it is such an unfortunate state, but that is the reality.
Okay.
Yes.
So do we have any statistics of how many people maybe are trafficked in a year, internally or externally?
So according to the Trafficking in Persons report of Uganda, the last report, I think it was for last year or 2023, the police reported about 103 victims that have been trafficked on a monthly basis, and those are known. Now those that are unknown, that's another story. Yes, all together. But we have also seen that the highest percentage of victims are actually internally trafficked than those that are that have crossed the borders. So the statistics are there. We recently conducted our statistics, report research at Salvation Army, the anti-trafficking project, and we were based. Our case studies were basically in the eastern region, and it was amazing that most of the trafficking that was happening was internally. Children were taken. They are coming. There's actually the trafficking of the transfer of victims from other countries into Uganda. Now that one is not even regarded, but it happens because most of the yes, from Tanzania, from Burundi, from Rwanda, from Congo, from South Sudan,
come here.
Yes, they come here because remember also Uganda is a destination.
Okay.
Yes, so they come to do that kind of job. They find themselves on the streets. They are the domestic servitude, because most of them are actually children. So the statistics that were made in our research, we realized that there was over 50% of the victims were single parents, and also there were children, school-going children, because our project is basically at the border at the border districts.
Okay.
So we also wanted to know how are these children, especially school-going children, are they also affected? And it was that appalling. So in our project, we decided to roll out that now we need to also reach out to schools and do the kind of sensitization. Yes.
And is when doing sensitization,
Yeah.
what are your findings? Are these people even aware of these things happen?
Most of them are not aware.
Wow.
And that is why when you look at one of the government efforts is prevention and awareness. There is need for awareness. You may think that people know. People don't
They
know.
don't.
Even the corporates. They will say, is human trafficking happening? And when you talk of human trafficking, the first thing they think of is cross-border. They forget that there is actually the highest is here. So we sensitize them and tell them that it happens. There are those who know, but we have tried to interact with transport operators, especially at the border district, and they'll tell you, oh, so this was actually human trafficking. We didn't know. Like they were conduits of human trafficking. They would get the victim. They don't know. For them, they are making money, and yet when you look at our Prevention of Trafficking in Persons Act, anyone who promotes trafficking in persons, you have aided in the recruitment, you have aided in the transportation, you're all guilty, you see. So they have been practicing this, but they have not been aware that it's actually the thing that they have been doing. So there are those that actually know, but it will pass. There are those who do not know, genuinely, and now we make them aware. But then there are those who have been doing it but have not been aware that they have been doing it. So that is the kind of sensitization that we try to give to the communities.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow, very interesting. Yeah. And I'll pose the same question once again to you. Do you know that human trafficking is happening? I believe now you know that it is happening. It is not only these that you see being ferried outside. No, even internally getting someone from District A to District D without their notice. And by the way, the job economy, I think, has contributed too much. Yes. To human trafficking. People are so desperate to do jobs, and they end up not making research about what kind of jobs they are going for, even the companies they are going in for.
Sure.
Well, we are going to continue with the discussion. That is after taking a very short break.
Issues at hand. Issues at hand.
Welcome back. You are watching Church of Uganda Family TV. This is Issues at Hand, and today we are talking about human trafficking here in the nation, I mean Uganda. So some of you could have not known that there's trafficking in here, but of course the kinds of trafficking differ. Maybe for you know trafficking as differently, but what we are doing currently, there are so many of them. I'm actually surprised that even these street children are trafficked from wherever they come from and brought onto the streets here in Kampala. Now, I am here with Julian. I want to understand, how has human trafficking, can I say developed? I don't want to use such a word. How has it increased over the years or decreased?
Okay.
What is its stand if we are to draw a comparison?
Okay. Human trafficking has been in existence. And the only way that we have been able to now know, our eyes have been opened, is through awareness. Then maybe the efforts were minimal, or people were not even aware. But there are a lot of efforts being made in prevention, especially to ensure that people are made aware, so that if they are to take decisions, they are based on the information that they have been given. So the reason why human trafficking has been low is because there has not been awareness.
Okay.
But we want to thank the government that they have taken a step further to increase efforts in prevention, in partnership. As organizations, we have come out to emphasize on prevention. We know that the government uses the 4 P's: prevention, partnership, prosecution, and the 4th one. I think I've forgotten that one, but it's and protection. Okay. Yes. So there's a lot of effort being done, especially in partnership, because we realize that this effort of fighting cannot be just done by government. We need hands together, yes, collective effort to be able to fight this. So because now even NGOs have come up to fight this, now people have districts are increasing. Yeah, of course it is sad that cases are increasing, but it's also good on our side to get to know that, okay, they're increasing. Why? Because people are coming out. Okay. Yeah, so that we are able to see how to up our efforts as well.
Oh, wow. Yes. And I also asked about the hotspots. Yes. What regions are most affected and why?
Why? Let me start with why. So the regions at the borders, if you look at the northeast, maybe in Karamoja, if you look at the eastern region where our presence is, there are official borders, but people choose not to use those borders, and security is probably minimal because maybe of that stretch. Yes. And you'll find victims crossing over as if they are going to do shopping across, and because you have been seeing this person around, so you'll think they are just going across to buy, but the issue is the increase. There's a lot of porous border crossing that is not checked, and that's why we see most victims. Those of Uganda have ended up in Kenya, and now they disappear there until when now they get calls back to their families telling them that it's not well. Yes.
Okay. Now let's look at the prevention. How well are Ugandans informed about trafficking?
I will say 50-50. I'll give you maybe a perspective of our of where we are working. If I compare before we were there and now after, we have basically focused on communities and empowered them. Right now, as I speak, those communities have become champions. That they have come up with, they call themselves village council communities, where they have, when they suspect that this person wants to go, this youth wants to cross over, wants to go to the Arab countries, they sit them in that council committee, and then they advise them basing on the information that they have received through the awareness creation. And then they will talk to them. We are not discrediting the fact that working external labor is good.
Yes,
but
it is.
How have you gone? How aware are you? How informed are you? Are the channels right that you have used to go with? If there is any red flag, is it possible to just put a pause on it and think about it? So those are the questions that they normally ask these people. So yes, efforts are being made in awareness. Efforts by government are also being made to ensure that there is awareness and education in the various communities. It will be surprising that most of the elites actually are the ones who are not aware that there is human trafficking. You will get into this office and you will tell them, I work with the anti-trafficking project, and they will ask you, are you the people who bring back people from Saudi Arabia? Saudi Arabia is not the only country where people are trafficked to. They are trafficked everywhere, or in all countries. Of course, the Arab countries have been the most outstanding countries where we have seen our women, our sisters suffer most. But they go everywhere. So it is basically everyone needs to be made aware. And like I said, these traffickers think right ahead of you. So we need to step up also our game, because just when you think that you have made the communities aware, the trafficker has now changed the tactic. And so we need to be abreast with our information so that we are able to share it with the communities up there on how they are able to safeguard themselves from these vices.
So when do I identify a red flag that, this could be trafficking, things like that? How do I identify the signs? What signs are there?
Okay. First and foremost, when they even confiscate your document, that is a red flag. Period. We have worked at border districts, and you only have to see this man or this woman intimidating a child. Normally these are school-going children, and they're forcing them to enter a taxi, and they tell them not to talk to anyone. That should be a red flag. And then the moment now when you get there, and then they start, they are nice. These people are too good, but the goodness lasts for 2-3 days, and then all of a sudden they change. Yes, so there are a lot of, and then they will tell you, especially one thing we need to understand is Arabs do not like Africans. That is the fact.
It's obvious.
Yes, they do not like Africans. They will mistreat you once you get there. And now that you've not gone there as an expatriate. No, you've gone there to do domestic work. So do not expect them to treat you any better. Secondly, from the experience I have had with girls who have come back from India, there is, when you go to India, there is no other work but sexual exploitation.
India.
There is no other work. First and foremost, India has over 1 billion people. Most of them are also on the streets. So how unique are you? What unique qualities do you have? Or what unique profession do you have to give to India? If it is science, they have. If it's doctors, is it computer scientists, whatever, they have. So what unique thing are you giving them? So there is no other work you can rest assured that you're going to do but sex work, you see. So, but here they will, and then they will say, no, we shall do this. You know, there is a way they lure them, and they tell them, no, we shall prepare for you a passport. We shall give you this document. And then you'll get to the airport, and then you have alternative routes, not the right route. So all those can be red flags for you to just know that this. However, for the children, it can be hard because remember, the parent has said, go to Kampala and work for your maybe tuition if you're a P7 vacist. Go for your tuition. Auntie has taken you, gotten you to a home, and now they start depriving you of your rights. And that's why we have in our Prevention of Trafficking in Persons Act forced child labor, you know. So there are those harmful acts that you do to the child. For example, you deprive them of food. Then you mistreat them. You do not treat them like the child that they are. They need guidance, you know. But now you treat them otherwise. Now for you, you're a serious trafficker. Yeah, so there are many red flags that you can know that this is a potential act. Yes.
How can an average Ugandan be of help?
In terms of knowing,
preventing or whistleblowing, things like that.
We thank God for media. Media is one of those channels that has helped to expose this. Yet it's also the same channel, the same channel that has
contributed
that has contributed to this vice, because of course the traffickers have used it and they still continue to use it so very much. So we appeal to the public to be informed. Let them be informed. There is a lot of information online that can help you to understand. Go to the website, government websites. For those that want to go abroad, there are those licensed companies that they can use. They are genuine. It will surprise you that the person that who is telling you that they can do shortcuts for you, they will charge you even more money than this legit company that will take the process, the right processes to take you. And even when they take you, they ensure that they check on you. When they check on you, your employer on the other side will fear. They will know, oh, okay, there's someone who is actually monitoring this person, so they would also check themselves. So let them use the right channels. Let them make use of the information on the internet about prevention. Then there are also, of course, government efforts that are happening. Let them take advantage of the efforts that government is using. For those, we have seen PDM, most people have misused it, but the thing is, there are government efforts that are in place where they can be part of and make money. There is money here in Uganda. We only need to know how to tap, into this. If a foreigner can come and benefit so much and they don't even want to go back to their countries, how about us, the citizens? Sure. Yes, we just want quick things, faster things. Recently I lost a friend. She passed on from Saudi Arabia, and I advised her to use the right, and she was like, no, that one it's expensive. You have not even gone there to check whether the fees and so forth. So the woman who took her, they traveled by road to Nairobi. So she went there, she stayed for some time, and somehow I think she processed her documents and she found herself in Saudi Arabia. She was there for like 2 years. So in the third year, that's when now things started changing. And she was this asthmatic lady. they started harassing. I think now they wanted more than just domestic work. And when she tried to resist, so they lock you in a room that has no ventilator, that has no window. Saudi Arabia is the hottest place. The heat only suffocates you. She's asthmatic. So she died. And because the family is poor, they could not be able to bring back the body.
Wow.
Yes. So I do not know what happened. Maybe she was buried there, or whatever, God knows. So it is very important to ensure that you are well informed. If you feel that there's something that is not right, pause a bit, ask. Then also stop posting personal information on the internet.
That's a big challenge.
It has been one of those highest things that traffickers have used. They will blackmail you. They have used that information to blackmail. Others have been kidnapped, and so forth.
Even some people post their children. My children has gone to school. My children is back from school.
The trafficker is updated effortlessly, and then eventually when things happen, then you know. But why? What's the personal information for on the internet? Who exactly is your target when you're displaying your personal information? So let us also be a little bit disciplined when it comes to sharing information on social media.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. Now, in case survivors are caught, but anyway, before we go to the survivors, have we been able to get some suspects?
Yes. Suspects have been there and prosecuted. There are many cases that I think just last year there were about 70 cases. 70. Yes, were being prosecuted, and I can tell you that our Prevention of Trafficking Persons Act has all those laws. Where there are sentences even up to life, up to death, especially when it comes to aggravated crimes.
Okay.
So the law is there, it is in place, and we actually thank the government that every time they keep amending it and improving it and even making it better.
Okay.
Yeah, so there are those cases that are being prosecuted, and there are those that and we also want to thank partner organizations that have made effort to train the judiciary. Now the judiciary, they could not make a distinction of which case is trafficking and maybe which case is probably gender-based or other forms of crimes. But with the trainings that have happened, now we see that the judiciary is coming out to understand that, okay, this must be a trafficking case. Okay. Yeah, and that's how we are able to get people to be prosecuted.
Okay, and for the survivors, and sometimes, do we have shelter here in the country for them, or any places they put them for some time and then before they are taken to their respective homes?
Yeah, their shelters, although they are limited, I think the government has those that I know are about two. Yes, but but they have worked in partnership. There are organizations that have shelters, but then they also have drop-in centers. There are drop-in centers at the airport, at the borders, some of the borders. There are some of those drop-in centers where survivors are able to receive the basic medical care, attention. Yes, and maybe psychosocial support, yes, and things like that. So yes, although we are, like I said, that we haven't yet reached that even the minimum standards, and that's why partnership is really important in this space, because we still need shelters. We still need even drop-in centers. We still need coordination and collaboration, to be able to provide the survivor with comprehensive support. I'll take an example. Salvation Army, we are so much into more of prevention, and yet you receive a case that needs medical. So we usually refer you know. Yeah, so we find that, of course, because of funding, we are incapacitated, that even if you want to help, you can't do, you know, everything.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. So many questions, very little time. I wish we could go past this, but time is really on our neck. Julian,
Yes.
I would love you give us your last remarks in this regard.
Yes. So thank you so much for this opportunity. One of my last, I have about 3. The last one is to basically appeal to all of us to be informed and well aware. Trafficking affects each one of us, maybe directly or indirectly. So I would love us to especially in this generation that we are in with a lot of social media, let us try to be jealous of our personal information as well. Then secondly, of course, recently we rolled out our national action plan, and this has coordinated efforts, of course, in prevention. I didn't tell you we respond to human trafficking with 8 P's. The government does it with 4. For us, it is 8. And our core P is prayer. Like I said, we are a faith-based organization, so we believe that these efforts cannot be done without prayer. So prayer is at the forefront, for these efforts. And then also every September, every last Sunday of September, as Salvation Army, we pray for victims of human trafficking. We have designated as a day when we remember to pray for victims of human trafficking. So we call upon everyone who is able to join us every last Sunday of September to come and be part and pass of us, and we are able to pray for the victims. And then lastly, of course, we are also having a symposium, a symposium on cross-border trafficking between India and Uganda, and it's yet to happen about October, November there. But there are efforts that are activities that are happening that are geared towards that symposium. So we are calling upon also still everyone to join efforts, because one of the main activities in that symposium is to ensure that there are bilateral agreements between India and Uganda, because we have seen how our girls have suffered, those that have gone to India and back. And so we want to see, is there any way that we can strengthen our policies, that we can have a bilateral agreement such that if there's anyone who has gone to India, there is a level of protection that they have, you know, so that they are not mistreated like they have been. Yes. And basically for all of us to come together.
All right. Wow. Thank you so much, Julian. That has been amazing and interesting information coming in. Basically, for us to understand human trafficking here in the country, we really want to appreciate you, and our greetings to the Salvation Army once you head back. Well, we cannot go past this. I want to appreciate you for joining us this morning. My name is Luke Majumba. Please stay on for more programs. Have a lovely day.
Issues at hand. This is Church of Uganda Family TV.